Yeah, man. Eventually, I made my way down to West Virginia. It was like West Virginia State College. So, like a history teacher that I looked up to, Jeff. He put me on like, cause we would play video games like Tekken, and he was just schooling me, just being aware of like the world, Cause at that time, like I really didn't have awareness. I was still a kid thinking like a kid, and he kind of gave like some definition, like we got problems in the world, and everybody has to be accountable for these issues, and you have to raise yourself, you have to be a model citizen, and all of this stuff. I mean, he was a history teacher, so it's like he really got my mind right. Like, look, man, you need to do something with your life. Like, what you gonna do? So so I was like, I just kind of took all of that in. It's like, man, I'm gonna go to college, cause he went to like an all black college. So I was like, man, like that's what I'm gonna do. Like I'm gonna become a history teacher. So I went down to West Virginia State College at the time, and I was like, look, I'm gonna be a history teacher. Like that's what I'm gonna do. Like that's what I want to do. I like history, so I'm gonna become a history teacher. And when I got down there, the head of the music department, she was they were looking for students to join just the music department. So they had scholarships and everything. So she was like, do y'all play any instruments? Anybody play any instruments? So I'm like, I mean, I play a little piano. And bear in mind, like I didn't play the piano in a couple years, like, but I wanted to go anyway, and so I auditioned for their committee. I don't even know what it's called. It's just escaping my mind. But I auditioned for them, and and I got accepted. I mean, they I guess they liked my approach to the music. I played my song, my favorite Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata. Um, so I played that, and I was accepted, and I got a scholarship, and now that was really like my first piano lessons were there. Uh, and I would and I met the students that was already there. Doug Ford, Jonathan Wesley, Derek Kirk, uh, and some other musicians. And no disrespect if I didn't say your name. It's just you know. But I really bonded with them, and they were inspirational to me too. Just listening to them play, and I've been away from the music for a while, and I didn't know anything. These cats really, I mean, they knew what they were doing. They had a road that they were going down, so it was like, man, let me learn from these guys and let me listen. I mean, it just sparked that desire to want to play again. It was like, yeah, while I'm here, and so I went through school to become a music teacher. That was the degree, because that's all they had. But I mean, most of the musicians anyway. I mean, it's like, all right, you do that, you go to school, you go to college, and you get this music education type of degree. But ultimately, like, you want to play. I mean, that's the reason why you even want to play anyways, because you heard someone playing and that inspired you to want to play. So I mean, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to play. I wanted to play music. I wanted to, I don't even know if I was even thinking about classical music or what, but I was kind of intimidated by jazz music just because I didn't have a good ear. Like, I couldn't play by ear, the so-called, as we say it, when I was young, like, to play by ear, like, that really meant something. But I found one musician who, he was like, man, I don't have a strong ear, like, I can't play by ear, but he sounds just as good as people who could play by ear. So I'm like, man, I mean, so what's up with that? Like, how you able to do that, man? How you able to play if you can't play by ear? Like, but I mean, you're doing a good job to me, of creating on your own. You know, it's not like this was all written down. You just making it up in your head. And he was like, you know, I just understand theory. He's like, you know, I got a good foundation with theory, so I know how things work. So that's why I'm able to manipulate the different elements and do pretty much what I want. So I'm like, well, that's what I need to do then, you know, because I don't have a good ear, you know. So maybe if I can get down these different elements and I can master them and have total control over them, then I can start to, you know, play music the way I want to play it. So I just did that, you know, just kind of just going about that and listening to the musicians like Bob Thompson. He's a real big musician here in Charleston, West Virginia. So I was just, you know, I would go down there and listen to him, and then different other musicians would come down for the school, and we would meet them and meet the different musicians. I mean, it was a good experience. I mean, because the musicians were always ready to help, like, and it just kind of it just installed in me, like, look, man, you need to be ready to help other musicians, you know, like, that's what you need to do. Because I just was so grateful that other musicians took the time to help me, you know, and they didn't have to. And so I was on the path, and I was getting good and learning and developing myself. And then I had I had to get surgery on my hand. It was my right hand, and I think I had like a cyst, or I had some type of like tumor or something. And we were trying to think, and the doctors were saying, like, you know, is it cancerous? And, you know, so that was already just like scared me. Because I mean, at that time, you know, I'm a musician, like I'm playing out, I'm gigging, and this is my livelihood, like this is how I make money. Is playing the piano, you know. It was crazy. And it was like, man, they could cut my hand off, you know. It was scary, man. I mean, like, it really was, just to think, like, look, I mean, I've come this far, and I got so much more that I need to do, and it's so much more that I need to learn to really be who I want to be in music. And just to have it, just like, look, man, we can, you know, you might not be able to play again. I mean, it was crazy. It really was. It was scary. But that time that it took for me to recover, I mean, it took like a year. I didn't even play the piano for like a couple years. So that was weird when I came back, and it's like, you just gotta backtrack, because, you know, playing the piano, playing music, it's like MMA, like it's like fighting, you know, because if you don't do it, like, you got to be in it every day, you know. Like, guys, now we talking about MMA, we talking about ring rust. Well, that's real in music, because if you don't do your thing and you're not constantly working on it, you can lose. Like, you can lose all of it. And yeah, you'll still have core elements that you always go back to, like fundamental things that you go back to, but like all of the innovation and just that, like, getting your mind in the zone, like, you're not in the zone. So, okay, you're doing this stuff, and after a while, it's like, yo, you just doing the same thing. Like, you feel me? Like I done heard you play all of that stuff so many times, man. It's like, I don't want to hear that. Like, you know, like, you don't even want to hear it. You know, you don't want to hear yourself doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, with no type of with no type of direction, with going somewhere with it, you know. It's one thing to, because Coltrane, I mean, he would take a pattern, and a lot of great musicians do this anyway. They would take a pattern and just work on that one pattern and put it in different elements and different environments, you know. So like, that's something different. Like, what I'm talking about is like being in the zone, because you can get in the zone on one element, on one pattern. You can just get in the zone and just, like, really develop that and create, and it's just like, man, like, you know, dude is really killing it. But if you're not playing any music for a long time, you know, it's like you get out of that zone, man, and that's what I found myself in, just like out of the zone, and just trying to get myself back back at it, and it was the difficult part was like how I practiced, because before, I mean, I practiced everything in its own separate element, and then I applied it to tunes and things like that. But once I got out the zone, it was like it's so much stuff in my brain. It was like a part of me was in the zone, a part of me, but it was like maybe 5% of me was in the zone, but 95% of me was out of the zone. So the 95% was the ruling part that was like, we're just gonna do we're just gonna work on a little bit of everything with no real direction. And I just found myself being lost even more. Just like, man, what am I gonna do, man? Just so I started to seek help from other musicians, and just take lessons, because you can learn from everybody. Like, I can learn from anybody, non-musicians, musicians. Like, I can learn from them. So I just started, hooking up with different musicians, and I talked to Bob Thompson, and I was talking to Derek Kirk, and just all kinds of cats, talking to Jonathan Wesley and Jonathan Smith, and just any musician I could get my hands on. It was like look, I need some help. So and that helped me, like it really did. But while taking lessons with different people, I started to just think about the lessons more, and like, look, like I really gotta really narrow down and focus in on the material so that I can progress like the fastest. And even with students that I had, that I accept and I take under my wing or whatever, it's like, because ultimately, like, you want them able to play. Y'all want to be able to sit down at the piano and have a conversation, to be able to just play with each other and enjoy the music, together. And like, somebody pull out something that you wouldn't even think about. You're like, oh man, that's fresh. Let me try to build on that, and that's ultimately what you want for all your students, and what you want of yourself. It's just to be able to communicate on a higher musical level. So, I was like, yo, like I really need to focus in and get this stuff right, and really get the music lesson, just really perfect it, and see, okay, what elements is good and what elements are bad, and just really come up with a system that allow me to really perfect the music lesson. Like, just to really do it, because we all got problems in the lesson, from a teacher standpoint and from a student standpoint. Like, we all have things that, okay, this is what we're trying to work on. From a student standpoint, it's like, you got to overcome that nervousness. You got to learn, and then you got to apply it. And then from a teacher's, it's like, look, I want to give you exactly what you need to develop so that you can have success. Because if you don't have success, then it's like, why even keep doing this? Like, why even keep doing it? Like, yo, I'm taking these music lessons, and it's like, yo, I can't. It's like I can't get it under my hands. So as a teacher, it's like, well, take time, because traditionally you work once a week. Every week you come back, and but sometimes, man, you might need more than a week. You might need a month, 2 months. And that's how musicians treat each other anyway. Like, when I work with other musicians, it's like, all right, man, I'm gonna show you this, and once you got it under your belt, come holler at me, and you might have something to show me. So I wanted to just bring that to this, to Bono's music, to where it's like, man, like, yo, I got this. This is good. However long it takes me to get this concept and develop it, like, that's how long. So yeah, and that's ultimately the thing, is to make sure that you have success in the lessons, and that you are still progressing, and that you have access to whatever concepts you want to work on at the time, whatever time that you're doing it. It's like, all right, I want to work on because you play a little bit, you're playing, and you hear somebody or something, and you say like, yo, I like what they're doing. What are they doing? that I don't have. So it might be their chords. So now you want to work on your harmony and make sure that your harmony is strong. Make sure your changes, you really have control over them, and you can take them in different directions. And or it might be the improvisation. It might be the licks. Okay, I'm doing the same lick, or I'm starting all of my runs on the third, or whatever you start them on. So, and you want to change it up, and it might be the scales. Oh man, this cat is using a different scale. He's using the Lydian scale. So let me try to start, putting all of my things into the Lydian scale and see what comes about. So it just depends on you as a student. So I just wanted to create a system that could really complement you as you find new things. Then you can come back and say like, all right, well, this is what I want to work on. This is what I want to focus on. And you will have the ability, because okay, you just find it like, oh, all right, there it is, harmony, and then you go to whatever. So yeah, man, that's like the main thing for the main design for BoKnowsMusic.com. It was like, it's to have the students able to do what they need to do. So.
Let me introduce you to Bo Miles, a unique and likable guy. Everyday life, friends and family,